A lot of interest in the bill. I appreciate everybody being here this morning, and I want to be respectful of everybody that's come and give ample opportunity to speak. The Sergeant at Arms has been kind enough to provide us with a few more minutes before we have to be out of the chamber, given the level of interest that we have in the bill. So we are going to have everybody speak for 1 minute. We would like to keep to that and be respectful of the others that want to speak too, so we can afford everybody the same opportunity to have a chance to speak this morning. So the rules of the House do apply, which provide generally that we all be respectful to one another and that we not call anybody by their name specifically, but advocate for or against the piece of legislation. And we ask you to do that in any manner you see fit within the bounds of those rules that we've laid out. So with that being said, if you'd like to submit comments in writing, we would be happy to take those. Just please provide those to Mark, who is the clerk, seated to my left, your right of me, and he'll be happy to insert those so that the members can review them. And again, we thank everybody for taking the time to be here. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And the first speaker on the list is Dr. Allison Holstein. Dr. Holstein? Just a housekeeping thing, one more thing. Sorry, Doctor. You'll see on your on the podium there's a Price is Right buzzer, and it turns red when your time is expired. So once it does it give a warning, Mr. Clerk, or right at 1 minute then, if you would wrap your comments. Please proceed. Excuse me.
On behalf of the West Virginia chapter of the American Academy of Pediatrics, we urge you to vote no on legislation that seeks to ban evidence-based medically necessary health care. The provisions contained in these bills interfere with our ability to provide the best medical care to our patients. The bill is dangerous. It's an intrusion on the physician-patient relationship and the ability of physicians to provide care that is evidence-based for our patients. The West Virginia chapter of the AAP represents over 175 pediatricians across our state. As trained medical professionals, we rely upon evidence-based studies and the standards of medical care to meet the needs of every single one of our patients. As pediatricians, we are tasked and trained to provide medical care for the most important members of our community, which are children. It is why the attempts to insert politics into medical practice are troubling and very concerning. It threatens our ability to provide medical care to our patients and threatens the health of our patients. Any legislation that bans gender-affirming care encroaches on the physician-patient relationship and ignores any complexity involved in the medical decision-making process. The implications of this ban on this care are so far-reaching and interfere with other forms.
Thank you so much, Doctor. The next speaker is Dr. Arifi. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. I'm usually Capito, so I can empathize.
I'm also representing the West Virginia chapter of the American Academy of Pediatrics. The decision of whether and when to initiate gender-affirmative treatment is individual and involves careful consideration of risks, benefits, and other factors unique to each patient and family. The process involves repeated psychological and medical evaluation with parental and guardian consent. Gender-affirming care for children with gender diversity or gender dysphoria begins with social affirmation. Before puberty, there is no medical or surgical treatment that is used at all. Care for these children includes expressions congruent with a person's gender identity, including living with the name and pronouns that are true for them. Later, youth may elect to receive hormonal therapy if it is indicated, generally after the age of 16 and after living in their authentic gender for some time. Again, this treatment is safe, evidence-based, and only occurs after extensive discussion with the patient, family, and healthcare team.
Thank you, Doctor. One note I would say was I'm happy to, if folks want to applaud, I would just say that sometimes that'll cut into our next speaker. if we can hold our applause. I'm not trying to tell everybody that they can't agree with or not agree with, but it just in respect to everybody that wants to speak today. The next speaker is E.T. Bowen. E.T. Bowen.
Hi, my name is E, just the letter. I'm 21 years old, and I'm from Huntington, West Virginia. And in February of 2022, I started taking hormones because I could. And let me be clear, no one owes you any more explanation than that. Get over it. And to every trans kid in this country who's being told right now that their value as a person only exists in what adults want for them to be someday, rather than in who they are becoming and discovering themselves to be now, don't listen to them. You are valuable now. Be trans, be queer, keep fighting, because we're fighting for you and we believe in you.
Thank you. Isabella Cortez. Isabella Cortez. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Isabella Cortez. I'm with Fairness West Virginia. Over the past couple of days, we have spent this time collecting stories from transgender people and their families across the state. We have over 70 testimonies that you're going to hear today from people who are going to read them because the people who submitted them were too afraid to come here themselves because of the rhetoric that has come out of this legislature. If we pass this bill, if this bill does pass, we will be banning evidence-based medicine for children. We will be banning evidence-based suicide prevention for kids. If this bill passes, you will be killing kids. You will forcibly detransition children who will then be at higher risk of suicide. If you vote yes on this bill, you are voting yes to kill children. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cortez. Dr. Yvonne Lee Long. Doctor?
Good morning. My name is Dr. Yvonne Lee Long, and I stand here in the People's House, and I will read a testimony from the people. I'm a representative from Fairness, West Virginia, and this was submitted by a parent of a transgender teen. Gender affirming care is life-saving. It is helping save my child from suicide, which he thinks on irregularly. My child is harassed every day at school for being different, for not appearing as who he is. Dealing with harassment takes up so much of his psychic energy that it cuts into his school performance. All he wants is to be accepted for who he is. Gender-affirming care holds the possibility for that acceptance. Gender-affirming care helps my son to function productively and to make use of his abilities and talents outside of school. When he turned 14, he got a job working in a commercial business, dealing with animals who don't question his gender identity, and his co-workers who take him as he is. Gender affirming care helps him move through the world like all he wants to do, and all we want for our kids to do is working hard, helping others, and growing into their full potential. It's heartbreaking for me that I cannot take away his pain, that the person I love most in the world often wants to end it all. He frowns and despairs and lurks underneath all the joyful moments. We hang on day by day, holding out hope for a better future because of the gender affirming care he receives.
Thank you. Thank you. Andrew Schneider. Andrew Schneider.
I'm Andrew Schneider, and I'm reading a statement by a student with transgender family members. I'm a true West Virginia native. I was born here. I've lived here all my life, and I even go to university here. But frankly, due to laws like this, I'll be leaving after graduation, never coming back. I'm currently an undergraduate student at West Virginia University studying neuroscience, and I have aspirations to become a medical doctor. I'm passing up a full scholarship to medical school at WVU because of these abhorrent laws. HB 2007 actively discourages good physicians, and especially future physicians, from practicing in our state because it values bureaucracy and politics over health care. Why should I choose to open a practice here if laws passed with absolutely no medical basis can tie my hands from hundreds of miles away? Why would I stay in a state that by law would make me break my oath to do no harm?
Thank you, Mr. Schneider. Joe Solomon, followed by, I'm going to create the on-deck circle so the next person can begin to approach, followed by Robin Kincaid.
My name is Joe Solomon. I'm a city councilor here in Charleston. I help to represent the whole city. It's my pleasure and my honor. And I wanted to share a quick message with our trans kids, our trans adults, our family members, our advocates. You're welcome in Charleston. You're welcome here in Charleston. This is your city. You're welcome everywhere. Everywhere, I guess, but this building that hurts trans kids. And before that, women. And before that, folks at risk of overdose. And before that, workers. This building is haunted. But outside it, you are welcome in every nook and cranny. And we on Charleston City Council, we want to help. We want to make Charleston a haven. This is your city. This is your state. Please don't let them tell you otherwise.
Thank you. Robin Kincaid, followed by Polly Snyder.
Good morning. I'm Robin Kincaid. I'm a woman of transgender experience, and I am here to denounce HB 2007 for the evil that it is. Decades ago, I was a trans teen. Care was not available to me. As such, I had no choice but to struggle daily with a level of gender dysphoria that often made my life a sojourn in hell. Taking gender-affirming care away from trans youth won't make them any less trans. I'm living proof of that. What it will do, however, is consign them to a grim fate of having their bodies completely out of sync with their hearts and minds, their bodies wrecked by changes they neither wanted nor deserved. It's past time we stop worrying about what happens if trans kids transition. It's time we start worrying about what happens if they don't.
Thank you. Polly Snyder, followed by Megan Gandy.
Hi, my name is Polly Snyder, and I'm a resident of our beautiful state and was born and raised in the friendly city of Fairmont. I am also a mother. One of my children is transgender male. I am here today in hopes that my words can have an impact on the decision to not pass this bill. I would like to share some of my experiences with you to help further understand why I feel so strongly about these kinds of bills not moving forward in our state. Approximately 2 years ago, my child started to struggle with himself as an individual and had serious thoughts of self-harming. As a parent, I don't wish this struggle on anyone. After digging deeper into the circumstances surrounding this struggle, my child confessed that he didn't feel like a girl and truly identified as a male. Upon reaching out to my child's pediatrician through WVU Medicine, we were introduced to a gender/sexual pediatric specialist. This was a game changer for my son and our family because we were then given the resources and the support that we so desperately needed. Axel, my son, has had the opportunity to grow into such an amazing young man and is now thriving.
Thank you. Megan Gandy, followed by Rob Livingood.
Hello, my name is Megan Gandy, and I'm a social worker and I'm a concerned citizen. I live in Morgantown now, but I was born in Charleston, and my family grew up bringing me to the Bible Center Church. I also attended Focus on the Family Leadership Institute. I come here today with a passage from God's Word. Jesus accepted eunuchs, gender diverse people, and welcomed them into the kingdom of heaven. Matthew 19:12 from the King James Version says, "For there are some eunuchs which were so born from their mother's womb, and there are some eunuchs which were made eunuchs of men, and there be eunuchs which have made themselves eunuchs for the kingdom of heaven's sake. He that is able to receive it, let him receive it." Jesus accepted transgender people. Why don't you? Do you know better than Jesus? I would also like to submit a testimony for the record, a written testimony.
Yes, please hand it to the clerk, and we will have that distributed. Thank you, Ms. Gandy. Rob Livingood, followed by Stacy Kay.
I'm Rob Livingood. I'm a West Virginian attorney. I was born in Logan County and I went to West Virginia University Law School. I am a trans man. I was assigned female at birth. When I hear this notion that we're somehow pressuring kids to be trans, I couldn't think that anything could be further from the truth. As a child, I was forced to wear dresses. I was forced to participate in hobbies that I didn't want to participate in. And I was, no amount of making me try to be cisgender could work. You just can't change who you are. It's just as torturous to try to make a trans kid be cis as it is to try to make a cis kid be trans. It's just plain cruelty. And what I want for the future of West Virginia's kids is for them to have something that I could not. If you don't let them have access to this care, it changes their bodies forever. So I hope that you consider letting them have what I could not.
Thank you. Stacy K. Stacy K., followed by Reverend Jenny Williams.
Hi, I'm Stacy Kay. I'm the co-director of SOAR West Virginia. And I'm here today just to speak out about this harmful bill that's being proposed. And I'm really scared about how it's going to affect someone that I care a lot about, many people that I care a lot about, but specifically someone in my family, a young trans person living very rurally who doesn't have a lot of access to people who show them support on a regular basis. They have been on suicide watch several times over the past year. And I'm just really worried about them today.
Thank you, Mrs. K. Reverend Jenny Williams, followed by Elise Chaffins.
My pronouns are she and her, and I live in Preston County. I'm speaking today to the delegates who use your Christian faith to discern your position on legislation. There are trans young people in your churches. You just don't know it. And there are students in your churches whose friends are transgender, and you just don't know it. I know that you would never want to harm these young people, but to prevent transgender students from being able to access the health care they need imposes harm, and in many cases will result in them dying by suicide or hurting themselves. You all like to use rhetoric about not killing children as a justification for passing legislation, as you did this summer. You will kill children if you pass this bill. If you oppose the killing of children, as you say you do, I would hope that you apply your principles consistently and oppose this bill and others like it.
Thank you, Reverend. Elise Chaffins, followed by Flynn Hext.
My name is Elise. I'm a teacher, a Christian, and a mom to several trans young adults. Because I love my kids and I love my trans students, I'm asking you to vote no today. This legislature has voted in favor of parental rights with regard to medical decisions surrounding vaccinations, but in this bill, the decision of parents to support their trans child who they know best are being overridden by the state. No parent seeks medical care for their child lightly. The hypocrisy here is significant and is based not on science, but on fear. The Bible says that perfect love casts out fear, but this bill is entirely manufactured panic. Love the least of these and vote no.
Thank you. Flynn Hext, followed by Cass Watson.
I'm a non-binary young adult. My pronouns are they, them, and he, him. I've been out for 7 years, started hormone therapy last year, and I can safely say that if I didn't have affirming family, friends, and doctors in my life, I wouldn't be speaking here today. Virtually all leading medical groups agree that gender-affirming care for trans youth is medically necessary. Support for trans folks drastically reduces our suicide rate. If you pass HB 2007, you will have children's blood on your hands. You say that you want to protect children, then let them explore their genders freely.
Thank you. Cass Watson, followed by Anelia Riley.
I often hear many of you speak about the family knowing what is best for a child, yet the bill before us is in direct contradiction to that. Is it that the relationship between a child and a parent is only sacred if they're living a life you deem pure? Why do you talk of not wanting your children to be taught that they're bad people simply because of how they were born, yet you're enacting laws that do exactly that to children? You speak of the mental health crisis here in West Virginia, yet are only doing more to compound it. You're attacking a group that has already exponentially high rates of suicide, poverty, substance abuse, and homelessness. Do you believe this will achieve anything other than raising those statistics? Maybe that's your goal. You're in no way protecting anyone, but instead seeking harm and erasure to a nominated enemy. You've started with the most vulnerable of the LGBTQ community, our youth. I assume there's no intention to stop your plan of legislative eradication of us all. I want to ask what professionals you have spoken to on this matter, because it is evident that you have not. I will ask how many trans folks you have had a real conversation with. How many of you sat down and had a beer with? How many of you invited to the shooting range? How many of you invited to a religious service? Again, I know the answer. Have you tried at all to understand our community, or just plan to attempt to put us back in the shadows that you claim is happening to you?
Thank you.
No use in locking your doors because there's one of us in every home.
Thank you. Anelia Riley, followed by Dr. Stephen Desi.
Good morning. My name is Annika Riley. My pronouns are they, them. I'm a non-binary constituent and president of West Virginia Wesleyan's QSA, and I beseech you to reconsider HB 2007. There are so many trans and gender nonconforming youth who depend on gender-affirming care as the crux of their transition. Without being able to transition into a body that makes one feel validated within their own heart, harmful consequences will follow. Trans and gender nonconforming people worldwide have been subjected to extreme violence due to the allowance of transphobia through bills like this. If you pass this bill, you will be subjecting thousands more to violence, thousands more like me, thousands who have already subjected themselves to violence because of bills like this. Self-harm. If this bill passes, you will not only have multiple people's blood on your hands, but mine as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Stephen Desi, followed by Caitlin Sussman.
I am Dr. Stephen Desi, a child and adolescent psychiatrist practicing here in West Virginia. You should oppose this bill as it's harmful to the evidence-based medicine care that supports the psychological well-being of the children of West Virginia. I am seeing many young patients and their families being transformed by this medical therapies. These therapies allow for children to be who they are and not experience distressing sex characteristics. When these therapies are not provided in these children, anxiety and depressive symptoms from the psychological distress result in suicide. These therapies save lives. This bill will harm our children.
Sorry for the mispronunciation, Doctor. Caitlin Sussman, followed by Brenna Lynch.
Hello, my name is Caitlin Sussman. I'm an ally, and this testimony was submitted by a transgender woman who needs care to survive. I, like many other transgender people, would have killed myself without having the ability to medically transition. Transitioning was my first choice, and suicide was my second. If you care about all the lives of people like me, then do not allow this bill to pass. If you find it preferable that we die instead, then I ask you this: why would you forego the forego the grace of God by enshrining into law an undue suffering on your neighbors. This bill doesn't protect kids. As a social worker, it personally offends me because it's guised as protection when there's many reasons that our children are unsafe in this state. This bill is wrong. If you support parents' rights and you believe Mountaineers are already free, stay out of parents and their doctors and their children's business.
Thank you. Brenna Lynch. Brenna Lynch, followed by Hannah McCoy.
I'll be reading a statement today by a West Virginia mom. I'm a mother and an ally. I'm a person. I'm a human being. My son is a human being who deserves the life-saving care of medical professionals and gender-affirming treatments. Ever since he came out to me as his true self almost 2 years ago, I've worried about the hardships he will face from his peers and outsiders, from people who don't understand or who are ignorant or afraid of what they do not understand. In my opinion, further marginalizing gender-affirming care for teens like my son is too risky. For the community, for our children, for our future, not having the proper care and healthcare team to turn to, or treatments or therapies could have a devastating effect on this already fragile and confusing population. As a mother, I cannot fathom seeing my son not being able to have the access to basic needs or healthcare that help him feel and be his true self. All anyone wants is to pursue happiness in life, to love and to be loved. Without access to these important, necessary tools to fully be himself, I cannot imagine that the pursuit of happiness will be easy. Please, from one parent to another, do not make my son's journey any harder than it already will be.
Thank you. Hannah McCoy, followed by Kriega Rexrod Wolf.
My name is Hannah. I'm the current outreach organizer for West Virginia Free, but I recently worked as a crisis counselor for the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. During my time as a crisis counselor, I have spent countless hours listening and supporting people when they are feeling like there's no other option. Suicide is the second leading cause of death for people ages 10 to 24 on both a national and a state scale, and I can confidently say I spoke to teenagers more than anybody else. We know LGBTQ+ youth are 4 times as likely to attempt suicide compared to their peers. In my time as a crisis counselor, I heard countless pleas from trans kids begging to be seen, begging to be supported, begging to be affirmed in their identity, so much so that they felt death was their only escape. These children are tired, and we are failing them. Banning access to these life-saving models of care is not only wrong, but it is a cruel and targeted attack on some of our state's most vulnerable. Trans youth exist in West Virginia. Trans kids are hurting in West Virginia, and trans kids need to be supported, not attacked in West Virginia.
Thank you. Kriega Rexrod Wolf, followed by Heather Schneider.
My name is Reverend Krista Rexrod Wolf, and this was submitted by the mother of a transgender man. As a lifelong West Virginian and the mother of a 20-year-old trans man, we had many discussions and decisions to make during his teenage years. Counseling and medical care were very important in my son's ability to feel safe as a teenager. This did not result in any surgeries or hormone replacement as a minor. He had qualified professionals who could assess his needs and guide him through his options. At no point did we feel pressured to rush into any permanent changes to his body. On the contrary, he was provided with a wide range of options with pros and cons, treated with respect, and allowed to grow up with the knowledge that there are many ways to be trans, with or without permanent changes. Without these professionals and their care, I fear he would have felt pressure from potentially dangerous information from the only sources available to teens, the internet, leading to much less self-confidence and greater depression and isolation as a teen. But qualified and trained counselors and doctors were our support system when little other support was available. We do not support this harmful language in
Heather Schneider, followed by Bryn Pomponio.
Hello, my name is Heather Schneider, and my pronouns are they, them, theirs. Across time and cultures, trans people, and that includes transgender youth, have often been accepted and affirmed. Why not here? Attempts to legislate who is or isn't human is nothing new. Lawmakers have often excluded Indigenous people, Black people, people of color, poor people, unmarried women, just to name a few. So many people have been excluded from legal protections in this country. Am I a human? Do I deserve to be treated as less than human when I do not conform to a rigid set of made-up ideas about gender? What about transgender kids? Are they less than human? Isn't diversity within humanity worthy of being celebrated? There are many cultures in this world that understand gender is not so simply defined as man or woman, including Indigenous peoples who were here before us. The laws of the United States of America are not always just, let alone for the people and by the people. I am a person, I am trans. Growing up is hard enough. I shouldn't have to be here asking y'all to protect trans kids, but here we are. Here we are. Vote no on House Bill 2007.
Thank you. Bryn Pomponio, followed by Margaret Chapman Pomponio.
Hello, I'm Bren Pomponio. I'm a parent and a member of St. John's Episcopal Church here in Charleston. I'm here today to stand with West Virginia's transgender youth and their families. I urge you to vote against HB 2007. The legislature needs to stop prohibiting medically necessary procedures. Our youth have the right and deserve the respect to have access to medical care which is prescribed by their doctors. And parents have a right to make decisions about their children's medical care. So please stop discriminating against our most vulnerable youth and vote no on HB 2007.
Thank you. Margaret Chapman Pomponio, followed by Leslie Baker.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Margaret Chapman Pomponio with West Virginia Free. My pronouns are she, her. I will say my heart has been broken all week, but I know that that is absolutely nothing compared to what trans youth and their families and the trans community as a whole are feeling. This bill uses our young people as political footballs, but this is not a game. Trans kids' lives and dignity are on the line. Children deserve to live in a society where they are protected and respected. That is our most important job as adults. This bill does the opposite. I'm now going to read a statement from a student at George Washington High School here in Charleston, my alma mater. 17-year-old Ben says, "Why are you choosing to take away the right to health care that will make trans people feel more secure? What is the point? These corrective therapies hurt absolutely no one, but this bill hurts people. I have to watch one of my closest friends struggle to feel normal inside of his own body every single day, and that is extremely hard for him."
Thank you. Leslie Baker. Did I get that right? Is it Baker? Bacher, excuse me. Megan, followed by Megan Turner.
I have a personal statement that I'd like to give to the...
Yes, we will make sure that it's disseminated.
Thanks.
Thank you.
My name is Leslie Bacher, and I'm an ally, have been for years. I'm reading a statement from a sibling of a non-binary person. As someone who studied mental health, you must understand how this bill will ruin lives. Young people denied this care are more likely to commit suicide. I'm trying to spare a life pain, and you will only cause its death. Make your measures of psych evals to prevent people from making a possible mistake, but do not ban this for people who really need the care. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Baker. Megan Turner, followed by Brandon Benton.
Hello, my name is Megan, and I'm reading this testimony on behalf of the parent of a trans child that could not be here today. Repeatedly, I hear in the House chamber and committees that parents know what is best for their children, yet for trans kids, according to House Bill 2007, they don't. Why are we not trusting parents on this issue? Please enlighten me. As a parent of a trans son, I can tell you that transitioning is a long thoughtful, psychological, and medical process. Please support our transgender community and their families in West Virginia. If you have any doubt, please vote no for this bill.
Thank you. Brandon Benton, followed by L. Didden.
Hello, my name is Brandon Benton. My pronouns are he, him, his, and I am a master's prepared registered nurse and the clinical director of Milan Puskar Health Right Clinic in Morgantown, West Virginia. Every major medical association has fully endorsed gender-affirming care for transgender youth. This is a medical decision between a provider, their patient, and parents of minor patients. You have consulted no experts in the relevant fields, and you have not considered the impact that this action will have on adolescents in West Virginia. Medical providers have a duty to give their patients the highest level of care, and this ban will prevent providers from giving even the basic standard of care. I have personally worked with trans adolescents and have seen how incredibly life-changing supportive parents and high-quality gender-affirming care can be. As a healthcare provider, I oppose this bill wholeheartedly, and if it is passed, it will do irreparable harm to the youth of our state.
Thank you. L. Didden, followed by Samuel Green.
Hi, my name is Elle Didden, my pronouns are they, them, and I am a second-year medical student at WVU. An essential part of my education has been learning to give my patients the best possible care, and if this ban is enacted, I will not be able to do that. Trans youth who are affirmed by their parents have health outcomes that are equivalent to their cisgender peers, while youth who do not have support are more likely to have symptoms of depression and anxiety. This bill violates the rights of parents and doctors to make the best possible decisions for trans adolescents, and it will drive healthcare providers and parents out of the state. This bill is based on misinformation and fear, and as a future physician and queer West Virginian, I deeply oppose it, and I urge you to vote no on House Bill 2007. Thank you.
Samuel Green, followed by Chris Smith.
Hello, my name is Samuel Green. I'm the coordinator for Marshall University Suicide Prevention Organization, and I'm the vice president of Huntington Pride. We know that West Virginia has the highest rate of trans youth in the nation, and you will have to reckon with them whenever they become voting age. These are our future leaders. They will be our politicians. They will be your colleagues. No person should ever have to be denied care that they need. They are human beings the way every single one of us in this room is today. And we know that this is going to skyrocket suicide rates. Maybe that means something to you, and maybe it doesn't. The fact that we're here at all to talk about this shows a disregard for the well-being of the youth of this state. Still, I beg you not to pass this. And if you do, I ask, can you live with the pain you are going to cause the children of West Virginia?
Thank you. Chris Smith, followed by Danielle Stewart.
Hello, my name is Chris Smith, and I am a Marshall student and a transgender person on campus. I am here to implore you not to pass House Bill 2007. On behalf of our wonderful state's motto, Montanus Semper Liberi, Mountaineers are always free. This beautiful state is being assaulted by these bills that limit the freedom of our youth, a youth that is hemorrhaging from the state. We are one of 2 states that have lost population, and it's only going to get worse if we continue to push individuals out of the state with awful legislation. We are better than this. Us, as a state, are better than this. Take a look at everyone around you here to oppose this bill. These are your constituents, your voters, and they're going to get you out of here. Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here.
Danielle Stewart, followed by, Christina Baston.
Hello, and thank you all very much for allowing me to speak today. I had a whole bunch of prepared remarks, but let me change as I came in. And the reason why, as I look around here, And I wanted to take a second to thank the delegates that have taken the time to come here today for this public hearing. Out of 100 delegates, I think I've counted 11, between 11 and 15 that actually showed up to this hearing. And I appreciate that, at least taking the time to listen. I will tell you, I'm more fatalistic about this bill than probably everybody here. I know it's going to pass. There are too many people with hate in their hearts that don't understand the subject, that don't care about our kids, and what's more important to them, this legislature is showing what is more important to you is to bully kids than actually take care of the real issues that we have. Our state has issues, economic issues severely. We have huge education issues. We have issues with our infrastructure. But we're here today talking about transgender youth. And you know why? Because it's easy. It's an easy group to bully because there's so few of us out there. And it's a lot harder than taking on the unions on prevailing wage. It's a lot harder to take on the unions with the teachers. This is an easy target that this legislature gets to say, yes, we did something. Well, let me tell you, thank you.
Christina Baston, followed by Jess Scott.
As a parent of two gender diverse children that are now 22 and 24, I urge you to vote against this legislation. During their adolescence, I never once had to fear that my children were being coerced into being transgender. I never once feared the mutilation of my children's genitals by medical professionals. My children were never offered any kind of treatment besides counseling. My children were never offered care without my knowledge or consent. I can say without hesitation that counseling saved my children's lives. Once my children were the age of their own consent, they started HRT, which is hormone replacement therapy. There isn't a gender-creative child in this state that has received sex reassignment surgery, nor will a child ever receive that type of surgery, because that is not how gender-affirming care is administered.
Thank you. Jess Scott, followed by Jonathan Lucas Neal.
Hello, I'm a professor at West Virginia Wesleyan College. I'm just here representing myself, but I wanted to say, as someone who works with young people every day, I talk to young people every single day who are from this state and who are from other places, and they are considering whether to stay here after graduation. Bills like this contribute to a negative association with the state, and when students are trying to decide whether to stay or leave, it is whether we are embracing and caring about the people who are in this state or not that contributes to that decision. The decision to transition is always a decision that the transgender person makes. That decision is not made by parents and is not made by doctors, but parents and doctors are the people who can facilitate that decision. And recently, the students in my classes have been asking, if they were parents themselves, if they're not transgender, if they're transgender, they have other worries associated with this bill, but if they're not transgender, they think about being parents themselves and what it would mean to not be able to support their child.
Thank you. Jonathan Lucas Neal, followed by Katie Coyne.
Hey, good morning. My name is Dr. Jonathan Lucas Neal, and I'm a West Virginia native and nurse practitioner practicing here in Charleston, West Virginia, providing primary care services to the residents of our state. And I come here today to voice opposition to House Bill 2007, creating laws that serve to stand between doctors and their patients, only decrease access to care, only frighten people from seeking out medical care. This bill makes our state a more dangerous place and not a healthier one. Gender-affirming care is based upon years of evidence and it is life-saving. And so I implore you to vote no on this bill and help keep West Virginia safe and healthy for ourselves and for our children. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. Katie, thank you. Followed by Jack Jarvis.
Hi, my name is Katie Coyne. I understand that I'm not the target of this hateful, stigmatizing bill. I'm not the kind of person whose existence you're trying to legislate away and ignore and push out of the state simply because of who I am and how I was born. But I want to be clear, bills like HB 2007 are an attack on every West Virginian and our values. As West Virginians, we're supposed to take care of our own, to protect our communities and families and look out for each other. We're the outsiders, and when people come for us, we stand together. But instead today, the people we elected to represent us, all of you in this chamber, are the ones who are attacking us. You're attacking our communities and our loved ones. If you vote in favor of this bill, you're voting in favor of children suffering, of them attempting and committing suicide. You are telling them that West Virginia is not their home, that this state and its people will not stand up for them or acknowledge their right to simply exist. That is not the West Virginia I love. I moved here from California 10 years ago. I have no plans to leave, but this state is changing. Vote against this bill to protect our kids and their futures, or we're going to see the consequences.
Thank you. Jack Jarvis, followed by Jim Butler.
My name is Jack Jarvis, and this is submitted by a concerned educator. My trans student who uses they, them pronouns is seeking gender-affirming care to help rectify the long-term anxiety about their body. Recently, they have been traveling to Pennsylvania to obtain care, and so far the results have been positive. The changes to their body give them peace and reduce their anxiety. This has made them more productive in my class and more engaged in their community. However, the need to travel out of state for treatment has complicated their life. It takes time to travel. Their health insurance does not cover them when it goes out of network. The inability to obtain this care in West Virginia already puts undue stress on them. We shouldn't be making this care less accessible. People seeking such care will obtain it anyway, and making laws will not stop people from obtaining gender-affirming care. All this bill will do is make the life of suffering people even more difficult. Thank you.
Thank you. Delegate Jim Butler, followed by Jessica Anessa, excuse me.
I'd like to make it very clear that I'm reading this letter at the request of Amy Bolliard, who's a young mother, and these are her words. I come to this as a parent of a trans-identifying teenager. We sought help for our son, male at birth, male today, from the largest healthcare organization in West Virginia, as he spiraled into mental illness and even suicidal thoughts and attempts, only to be cut off by them from his care. They exclusively encourage him to be transgender and renounce his parents and family. Our family has been wrecked, every dynamic, every person. So-called professionals who operate in these places need to be stopped. Helpers in the mental and behavioral health fields, as well as physical medicine, take a pledge to first do no harm. There's a lot of harm going on. They're causing irreversible damage by prescribing cross-sex hormones and cutting away healthy body parts. The average time between transition and detransition attempts is 8 years. Some regret it immediately, some 30 years later. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate Butler. Jessica Anessa, followed by Maggie Benton.
Hello. First, I want to say if you're man enough to support this bill, you should be man enough to sit and listen to these people. I'm here as an ally for my friends and my child. This legislation refuses to discuss laws that allows my 12-year-old to get married, but you want to prevent life-saving medical care for people who otherwise might commit suicide. This legislation should not be making medical decisions about me or my family. Are you banning tattoos next? Will I be able to keep my bank account? Your priorities make no sense. America is a secular nation. We should not be making laws based off Christian values, yet here we are again. Listen to professionals, and I'll let my kid speak for himself here shortly.
Thank you. Maggie Benton, followed by Aaron Shelton.
Hello, my name is Maggie Benton, and this was submitted by a mother of a transgender daughter. You don't know me personally, nor do I know you, but what I do know personally is my daughter. She was born male as Bryson, and she started very early, telling me, oh, it's just a thing, it's going to go through. At first, she only wanted to play with girl things. She wanted to play with dolls and makeup and make herself beautiful. I know you're thinking it will fade with age. Then she started referring to herself as female. As her mother, I corrected her and I tried. One day as I corrected her, with big tears in her eyes, she said, "Mama, I girl." That's when I was sure and knew for certain. She is my beautiful princess and I wouldn't change it for the world. She has not yet started puberty blockers, but she hopes to, as she is scared of gaining male features. My biggest fear is that you all will take away from her who she really is. I understand that not all people agree and are okay with it. But it's life. Not every road traveled is easy, and this road is already a hard one. Don't make it harder for my daughter and this community. Hear their voices and truly listen to what they have to say and help them have a voice.
Thank you. Aaron Shelton, followed by Steve Peck.
My name is Erin Shelton. My pronouns are she, her, and this was submitted by a trans woman who left West Virginia. She said, "Life is better if you live in your correct gender. I can say from experience that it is impossible to adjust one's identity to the body one is born with. Adjusting the body to one's identity is hard, but it is possible. Living in the wrong body, pretending to be what one is not, only leads to mental health issues and, in the worst case, to suicide." A lot of trans people, like this woman from West Virginia, feel they have to leave our state to live their lives as their authentic selves. This bill will force West Virginia families to leave the state to try to get life-saving health care for their children. As a member of the queer community, I've seen the effect that a lack of gender-affirming care has on my friends, peers, and loved ones. We are disproportionately affected by suicide, substance use disorder, homelessness, and more, and this bill will only amplify those effects as trans youth are forced to live without the care they need and deserve.
Thank you.
However, regardless of the outcome of this bill, as a community, we will still stand together to support queer youth in West Virginia in any way that we can. We're not going away.
Steve Peck, followed by Eli Baumwell.
My name is Father Steve Peck. I'm from Wood County and the New Wineskins community. As a priest and a human being, I urge you to vote no on HB 2007. This is a particularly harmful legislation. In the New Testament letter to the Romans, St. Paul gives preeminence to the law to love your neighbor as yourself and says, "Love does no harm to a neighbor. Love is the fulfillment of the law." This bill would be harmful to people who are transgender. Of the many reasons to vote no on this legislation, rejecting it on moral grounds is clear to me. And if you're hung up on language in perhaps Genesis where it talks about male and female, recognize that those are just polar extremes. They don't tell the whole story, just like day and night don't tell the whole story.
Thank you, Father. Eli Baumwell, followed by Joshua Higginbotham.
Thank you very much. My name is Eli Baumwell. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm here to read a statement on behalf of a non-binary West Virginian. I have to consider the safety of others as a priority on a daily basis. With all the dangers this world has to offer, our upcoming generations need protection now more than ever. However, HB 2007 is not going to shield our kids from harm. In fact, I fear this bill will put our youth in further danger, both in their personal viewpoint and in the lens of an unsupportive society. I believe that every child deserves
Fairness West Virginia. I also spent 5 years as a Republican member of the House of Delegates, and I'm here to read a statement talking about why this bill doesn't need to pass. There's a physician here in southern West Virginia who wasn't able to be here, and he asked me to read this statement. Autonomous people enjoy the inherent right of self-determination. As it relates to HB 2007, West Virginians must not interfere nor violate a person's autonomy simply because some in this body disagree with their choices. As a lifelong Republican and as an openly gay man, I can tell you that we have to oppose HB 2007. This bill is not a moral bill, and it should be rejected by legislators in this body. Thank you.
Molly Kennedy, followed by Jean Peters.
This is from Hannah, who is 17. I have friends who are trans. I have family. They are loved, cherished. They get good grades. They're in sports. They have jobs. They contribute to society. They also struggle with how they look. They hate that they weren't born the way they want to look. They harm themselves. They have had multiple suicide attempts. Their family isn't supportive, and it just drives them further into this mental crisis. What keeps them going at all is the hope that they will one day be able to convince their parents to get them gender-affirming care. You're taking away their hope, their will to live. You are killing my friends and family, and it's not just mine, but many others. I wish you saw the deep scars on the people I love like I do. I just wish you could understand, because if you did, you wouldn't be passing this bill. Please don't kill the people I love.
Thank you. Jean Peters, followed by Ash Orr.
I'm Jean Peters, she, her, from Wood County, and I'm going to be reading for someone else. This was submitted by the mother of a transgender boy. My son is a beautiful, smart, funny person, but that side of him was mostly hidden until he finally felt comfortable to tell us that he was trans. He is authentically himself every day, and while I love that with all my heart, I'm still fearful every day that people will hate him and not let him have basic care because him being his authentic self is harmful to others. My son shouldn't be considered less than because people have hate in their heart. I want my son to grow up and feel safe and not have to worry about getting basic things like health care.
Thank you. Ash Orr, followed by Danielle Trumbull. Excuse me.
Hi, my name is Ash Orr. My pronouns are they, he, and I am a proud and out transgender West Virginian. I do not have much to say to our elected officials here other than most of y'all in this room who are elected officials are pretty terrible at your jobs. You've made it abundantly clear that you're more than willing to go against the advice of major medical boards and providers. We have all these folks in here today because they are angry, scared, and hurt. And I know most of you all are not going to care. And honestly, you're not worthy of our time. So I'm going to address the constituents and my trans siblings in this room. I am beyond proud of the trans folks and allies that are in here for the right reasons. This bill is not about what you think it is. This bill is about a small consolidation of power wherever these insecure legislators can obtain it. They are starting with stripping away the health of transgender minors and young adults. They are going to ban pieces of health care to control bodies. Doesn't this sound familiar? There is no compromising with some of these elected officials. There is no reaching across the aisle. There is no pleasing them. To my trans siblings, you are valid, you are seen, you are loved, and I would not stop fighting for you.
Thank you. Danielle Trumbull, followed by Michelle Earl.
Hi, Danielle Trumbull from Morgantown. We're a welcoming and inclusive city and one of the only growing communities in West Virginia. Wonder why? I'm angry that discriminatory and divisive bills like this and the other anti-LGBTQ bills have been made the priority here instead of focusing on infrastructure, addiction, homelessness, which are the issues that I hear the most about as an elected official. Instead, we get bills like this meant to make a national statement. When it's enacted, we will again be forced to spend taxpayer dollars defending ourselves in federal court. It's fiscally irresponsible special interest politics and nothing more. If you're protecting children, trust their medical decisions to experts who have years of experience and choose to address things like poverty, education, or our statewide foster care crisis. Can we as a state at this point actually afford to tell anyone who chooses to live here, to pay taxes here, to build a life here that they're not only unwelcome, but we will persecute them for doing so?
Thank you. Michelle Earl, followed by Aaron Grace.
Hi, my name is Michelle Earle. I'm going to speak for myself, and I also have to read something. I'm a West Virginian, I'm a parent, I'm a social worker. I am gay. I haven't always been able to say that, and right now I'm afraid in my own state. I need you all to understand the impact of this legislation. It will harm people. It will kill people. You know this. Please represent me and vote no.
Thank you.
Now from a Dr. Gaynor in Calhoun County. I was raised here and received my education degree in this state. For 20 years, I worked and taught in nearby PA. Then I came home to help my mom and teach here again. I teach English, and no matter what level, students trust me with their stories. They always have. It is my job to create a classroom where they feel they can be themselves. You see, writing is very personal. I cannot help them be better writers if they cannot be themselves. I cannot help them to be better writers if they don't trust me. Do I correct mistakes? Yes. Do I instruct them? Yes. But writing is deeply personal, and students know who is for real. But here's something I've learned in all these years. Here's a paper I never want to read again. My friends are my family because my own family threw me out for being gay, lesbian, trans. I want a world where this does not happen, where humans matter for being alive, for being exactly who they say they are.
Thank you. Thank you. Aaron Grace, followed by Abigail Brandt.
Hello, my name is Grace. My best friend is trans, and this was submitted by an ally in the Methodist Church. As a Christian pastor, House Bill 2007 goes against the gospel of Jesus Christ. Did Jesus ask information before he healed people? No. Using your faith to weaponize attacks on transgender people is not Christian or holy. It is bigoted. Please reconsider using your faith in these decisions as it reflects back on the rest of us. If you make a decision, keep faith out of it. But if you do use your faith, use actual beliefs and not fairy tales. Take a critical look at what you're doing to yourself, others, and your faith. Hello, my name is Grace, and this was submitted by a transgender woman. Modern medical science overwhelmingly supports and reinforces the life-saving nature of transgender-affirming care. This legislation would be extremely harmful to hundreds to thousands of transgender teens living in the state. Medical decisions should be made by medical professionals and their patients, not legislators.
Thank you. Abigail Brandt, followed by Savannah Herod.
Hi, I'm Abby Brandt, and I'm 17, and my older sibling is trans. But this is a statement submitted by the mother of a transgender boy. Gender-affirming care is vital to the social, emotional, and mental health of our young people. Without gender-affirming care, these youth become depressed and often suicidal. Do you really want that on your conscience? Thank you.
Thank you. Savannah Herod, followed by Mia Ross.
Hi, my name is Savannah Herod, and I'm here to speak on behalf of a young group of LGBTQ activists from across West Virginia. All of us here are harmed by the actions of this legislature. Legislators are making laws about communities they've never met, about medical procedures that they didn't even bother to ask a medical professional about. If you, as a lawmaker, believe that you are helping trans people, why does the trans community, their families, their doctors, and every major medical association tell you what you're doing is harmful? This is rooted in a complete lack of knowledge of transgender people, their needs, and their medical care. What you call protecting children is deadly. Gender-affirming care is evidence-based suicide prevention. Vote no on House Bill 2007.
Thank you. Mia Ross, followed by Emily Bean.
Just a correction, my name is Maya Ross, and
Pardon
I'm
me.
with WTSQ 88.1 FM. I'm going to be reading a statement that has been submitted by a non-binary West Virginian. Gender-affirming care is so important and life-saving. I have watched my friends get the care that they needed and become so much happier. This bill is dangerous for the trans youth of West Virginia. It will cause countless suicides, and their blood will be on your hands. Do not vote yes on this bill. West Virginia is one of the states with the highest trans population, and we deserve bodily autonomy. Focus on real issues that help our state, not controlling what people do with their bodies. And I want to say you care about the human population and human people, so you vote and ban abortion. Show us you really care about humans and vote no on this bill.
Emily Bean, followed by Molly Arbogast.
My name is Emily Bean, and my name has always been Emily Bean. But just a few years ago, I started telling people that. This bill tells folks like myself and the person I was as I grew up that I am not welcome in this state. I am a West Virginian. I have lived here my entire life. I am part of this state. I am your neighbor. You are telling me that I'm not welcome here. You are telling trans kids that they're not welcome here. I'm lucky to be alive because I didn't grow up with trans health care, but I have it now. Think about the suicides that will happen, the people who are not going to be alive anymore because of this destructive legislation. You can do better than this. Thank you.
Thank you. Molly Arbogast, followed by Kaylin Barker.
I'm Molly Arbogast, Director of the West Virginia chapter of the National Association of Social Workers and President of Greenbrier Valley Pride, and this was submitted by a proud dad who cares for many young trans people. This bill is ignorant of what is facing children and teens today. I've witnessed the tears, self-harm, addiction, and even casual talk of suicide as though it's a very real option. I want you to be mindful that your efforts to vilify women, homosexuals, and those with real identity issues is doing nothing but harming innocent young people. Do you care that teen suicides will increase on your watch directly due to your actions? Nearly all of you wear the pro-life label. Why aren't you still pro-life with the trans population? Please vote against House Bill 2007.
Kaylin Barker, followed by Emily Wohlmendorf.
I am reading this on behalf of a submitted testimony. My name is Bailey. I'm a lifelong resident of Raleigh County, West Virginia. I'm not trans, but I want to speak up for my trans friends. I want to remind you that West Virginia has one of the highest concentrations of trans youth in the country. I want to remind you that it is your job to do what is best for these youths. That means not passing legislation that undermines or regulates their existence. That means protecting trans youth and making space for them in all aspects of our state, communities, and our lives. I implore you to listen to the trans community and allies of West Virginia and vote no on this bill. And I just want to say I am tired of coming down here and having to justify the existence of the LGBTQIA+ community. Trans, non-binary, gender non-conforming, and queer people do not owe you a damn thing.
Thank you.
Leave.
Everyone, we have been informed we have about 15 minutes, so we just want to make sure that we're respectful of everybody's time and want to get to everybody. So with that being said, please.
Hi, my name's Emily Womeldorf. My pronouns are she, her. I'm the Advocacy Campaigns Director with Planned Parenthood South Atlantic, and I'm going to be reading a statement from 2 teen West Virginians. Dear House of Representatives, please do not pass this bill. I know you may think that trans individuals are wrong for being who they are, but this is going too far. Whether it be when you kicked us out of sports and now you're attempting to take away our health care, enough is enough. Putting religious and biased laws in place will only lead us further from peace. I should not have to wake up every morning wondering if I'm safe. The people you put this bill upon are my age, 13. We are just kids. And you are risking mass panic and anarchy. The point is, I'm a person, I am your neighbor, and I am part of the future of this state and this country. Please just consider what I'm saying. One day when we are at our end, nothing you have done to us will be worth it.
Thank you. Crystal Good, followed by B.A., and I'm sorry, I can't read, is it Wiskowski or I apologize, I can't read the writing.
Hello, my name is Crystal Good, and I'm the proud mother of a trans daughter who says everyone in West Virginia is in drag. That's why you wear so much camo. I'm reading testimony today on behalf of Liz Fry from Cape Henn, West Virginia, who is a registered nurse in West Virginia. As a trans non-binary queer parent, I did not choose to be who I am. I was born this way. HB 2007 would sentence our trans youth to harm, including death. West Virginia has the highest per capita number of trans youths in the country. This legislative body is telling these kids that their lives are expendable by not letting our kids be who they are. This body has presented hate without even consulting trans bodies, healthcare providers, or following the guidelines of leading medical boards. Stop gaslighting our kids and their parents. Stop putting the legislature between patients and medical experts. Thank you.
Thank you. B.A. Wiskowski, followed by Chris Gossis.
My name is B.A. Miskowick, and I'm reading a statement submitted by the parent of a transgender child. I feel strongly as a parent that decisions about my child's mental and physical health care should be left to my child's physician, healthcare experts, myself, and my child, as informed by up-to-date research and best practices in the healthcare field. Legislatures are not experts in the medical field, nor are they the parent of my child. They should not use politics and personal religious beliefs to control decisions made about health care. This topic affects so few West Virginia residents directly that I do not believe the introduction of these unnecessary changes to legislation can be anything but intentional oppression and imposition of uninformed and impersonal belief systems on an already oppressed, vastly minority and vulnerable population of people.
Thank you. Chris Gossis, followed by Ramsey Monk.
I'm Chris Gossis with Rainbow Pride of West Virginia. It's already difficult for many to access hormone therapy. By making it illegal for healthcare professionals to even offer it sends a message that trans kids and their families aren't welcome to simply exist in West Virginia. You're denying their health, safety, and happiness, denying the basic human dignity we should be extending to all in West Virginia. Please get to know trans folks, trans youth and their families. They are beautiful, and like every person in West Virginia, they should be treated with dignity and respect and afforded life-saving health care. Please don't be a bully to trans kids and their families. Please don't deny the humanity and existence of trans folks. Please set an example and lead with love and vote no on House Bill 2007. Thank you.
Ramsey Monk, followed by Ripley Varela.
Hi, my name is Ramsey Monk. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm a very proud ally. And I'm speaking on behalf of someone else today. My name is Reverend Oliver Snow, and I'm from Huntington, West Virginia. Now, I'm a minister, so I'm going to come to you from a place of faith. There is nothing in the Bible that says transgender care is against God. While there is no mention of trans individuals in the Bible, there is one term that we do have, and that is the term eunuchs. In Matthew 19:12, it makes it very clear how Jesus felt about eunuchs, stating there are many ways people become eunuchs, but that those who can accept that calling should accept it. Transgender people are to be loved just as all God's children are to be loved. Your ignorance makes you blind to the Word of God, and your arrogance makes you think that you know what God wants. It is not your place or mine to tell people how they should or should not decorate the temple God gave them. These decisions are between the transgender individual, their parents, their medical professionals, and God. I pray that you make the right decision. Thank you.
Ripley Varela, followed by Katie Quinones.
I'm Ripley Varela, they, them, and I'm speaking today on behalf of the West Virginia Coalition Against Domestic Violence. Statistical data from a 2021 UCLA study shows that almost a third of America's transgender youth have attempted suicide over the course of the year, and that a major contributing factor to this is reducing access to medical care. This is especially critical information for West Virginia, a state with one of the highest youth suicide rates in the entire country, as well as the absolute highest rate of transgender youth. On average, we lose a West Virginian to suicide every 22 hours, and almost 1/3 of these suicides being one of our youth. If this legislation is passed, by all evidence, our children will die in even greater numbers than they already are. As such, we firmly oppose this bill and its ideals. It is a shame of our state that so many of our youth would rather be dead than continue to live here, and we should be working to undo that rather than passing legislation that will encourage it.
Thank you. Katie Quinones, followed by Paula Lepp.
I'm reading a statement on behalf of my friend. My name is Elliot Stewart. I am a trans man living in Cabell County. I am urging you to vote against 2007. People described me as a dark and serious child, not knowing how much I was struggling with depression and gender dysphoria. Prior to coming out, I attempted suicide 4 times, starting at the age of 12. I did not think I had much of a future, and I worry about the kids today that feel the same way when bills such as this are introduced. No doctor in West Virginia is performing surgery on trans kids. This is the sort of falsehood and hyperbole that demonizes trans people. However, hormone therapy is a completely reversible method of buying time so that children can decide when they're adults a course of action. Trans kids can grow up to be trans adults, and kids with whom this may have been a phase, as so many of you fear, can continue their lives unchanged. If I had hormone therapy as a youth, it would have saved me all the years lost to depression, not to mention an expensive and physically taxing mastectomy surgery as an adult. West Virginia has the highest percentage of trans youth in the country, so when Gen Z leaves our already hemorrhaging state in droves, I don't want to hear anyone wringing their hands about what could we have done to keep our kids in this state. Here's what you can do. You can stop othering them.
Thank you very much. Paula Lepp, followed by Cricket Hall.
Hi, I'm Paula Lepp, she, her pronouns. I'm a Christian parent of a Christian trans child, and yes, you can be both. As a person of faith, I believe this bill is contradictory to the very teachings of Jesus, to care for and love the marginalized, and that every single person, no matter what, is sacred and valuable. Make no mistake, this bill is an eliminationist act of violence aimed at one of our most vulnerable populations. It feels like this bill is trying to make it so trans youth don't exist in West Virginia. Since there is an extraordinarily high suicide rate among trans youth who don't have access to gender-affirming care, this bill might just succeed in that. The bottom line is this: I would rather have a live daughter than a dead son, and this bill puts that at risk.
Thank you. Cricket Hall, followed by Reverend Cindy Briggs Bond.
Good morning, my name is Cricket Hall. I'm one of the pediatric chaplains at Ruby Memorial and Children's Hospital. And I had a different speech planned, but then I realized that my professional identity as a religious and healthcare professional don't matter nearly as much as my identity as a mother of a trans child. On our way down here, one of my teenagers said to me, I don't want to have to walk through a field of the corpses of my friends because some politicians decided to impose their transphobia on the rest of us. And I felt y'all needed to hear that. Now I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt and that you might not know and understand exactly what we mean when we say gender-affirming care, but we have a whole bunch of professionals who can tell you. Please, protect my patients. Protect my staff so that they can live up to their oath and do no harm. And protect my babies. I made them. I worked very hard to make them. And I love them just like you love your kids.
Thank you. Reverend Cindy Briggs Bond, followed by Julie Archer.
Hi, I'm Reverend Cindy Briggs Biondi, the pastor of St. Mark's United Methodist Church here in Charleston. And I do want to thank the delegates who are here today to take the time to listen. And also, I do want to extend an invitation. If scripture and theology is where you feel stuck on this issue, I feel confident that I can speak for myself and my clergy colleagues who are here. We're happy to just talk about that at any time with any of you. But I want to share a statement from a transgender man this morning. West Virginians have a reputation in the larger world. It's not always a good view of us, but I'm not here to talk about the negative. I'm here to talk about the positive. We're known for our kindness to strangers. Our kindness is what resonates with those who move here from other places. To those who are simply traveling through, they think we're wonderful, generous, and kind, and we are. We always set that extra place at the table for the unknown angel at the door. We stop to help folks in need. We offer food and prayers and friendship to those who come into our homes, our churches, our businesses, to even those we encounter on the street. That is who we are.
Julie Archer, followed by Rose Wendland.
My name is Julie Archer, and I'm here as an ally to urge you to reject this bill and to read a statement from a non-binary person. House Bill 2007 will do more harm than good. It is written in the guise of protecting youth, and in actuality will be harming youth who are going through the process of questioning and affirming their gender identity and gender expression. As a mental health provider, I have seen firsthand the impact of stigma and discrimination of gender expansive youth, often culminating in suicide attempts and self-harm behavior. I have done more safety plans and harm reduction work with queer and trans youth since the beginning of this legislative session than all of the last year. An Academy of Pediatrics study from July 2002 found that youth changing their gender identity is infrequent, and that youth who transitioned socially at early ages continued to identify that way.
Thank you very much. Rose Wendland, followed by Teddy Hess.
Rose Wendland, she, her pronouns. This is submitted by a trans woman who left our state. I remember how isolating it was growing up as a closeted trans person in 1980s, 90s West Virginia. I ended up having to leave the state entirely to seek medical care elsewhere. It is so very callous and cruel to disregard decades of peer-reviewed research and cater to bigotry and ignorance, not to mention the trauma, pain, and exorbitant expense of correcting going through the wrong puberty later. This legislation is a solution to a non-existent problem. Please let the medical organizations continue to provide this life-saving care to the vulnerable teens who need it. Thank you for your time and attention to this matter.
Teddy Hess, followed by Damian Eplin.
A Club Q shooting survivor, Michael Anderson, said, quote, "The hateful rhetoric we've heard from elected leaders is the direct cause of the horrific shooting at Club Q," end quote. Okay. The trans minors that this would affect are not old enough to vote. None of you that are against this are trans. Is it right that you make decisions on behalf of a community you yourself are not a part of? One sign of fascism is a disdain for human rights. The right to make your own decision about your own body sounds like a human right to me. Please don't let your religion interfere with your decision on this bill, because this is supposed to be a democracy, not a theocracy. And if this passes, this state is becoming closer to a fascist state where we control other people's bodies. This state cannot have that much power. Thank you.
Thank you. Damian Eplin, followed by Leah Farrell.
Hi, my name's Damien. I had a different speech planned, but I'm furious. I'm mad, okay? I want you to know who you're affecting. I want you to look at me and see who you are affecting. I am disappointed because I know that we can do better. I don't know why you care about my body so much. I don't know why you want to hurt me. I don't know why you want to do this to me. And I do not understand why. What is the point? You are making issues that aren't issues into issues. We have the second highest drug rate in most states, and you want to focus on me instead of desperate people walking on the streets. You want to affect me other than people who are in desperate need of help. Thank you.
Thank you. Leah Farrell, followed by Brianna Kaysen.
Hello, she, her pronouns. I'm a second-year medical student at WVU, and I wanted to say that as a future healthcare provider, I want to respond to some of the arguments we have heard. I note that no gender-affirming surgeries are done in this state until a person becomes an adult. Instead, this bill prevents evidence-based care that decreases suicide in children. This bill impacts their ability to be happy, healthy, and free to live their lives. It is abhorrent and undermines all that we as healthcare providers work for. Thank you.
Thank you. Brianna Kaysen, followed by Sally Roberts.
Hi, my name is Bree. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm here to read a statement from a fellow doctor and also represent my future patients. I'm a medical student at WVU. I am a doctor in West Virginia who provides gender-affirming care to adults. I see firsthand how delaying hormone therapy until adulthood causes unnecessary harm. I was surprised the first time a family came to me asking for gender-affirming hormones in West Virginia. But what I learned is that grandparents and parents can change their old ways of thinking about transgender identity when they see their own child considering or attempting suicide, being bullied at school or work, or their adult children unable to leave home out of fear. The medical literature and all of the professional medical societies recommend and support gender-affirming care. Our medical education includes diagnosis and treatment of gender dysphoria with hormones. Passing a bill making gender-affirming care illegal sends a message that you don't value the medical community. From a medical ethics perspective, asking us not to provide life-saving therapy is equivalent to making insulin illegal for diabetics and antibiotics illegal for pneumonia. Thank you.
Sally Roberts, followed by Ted Brightwell.
Hello, my name is Sally Roberts, Chair of Rise Up West Virginia, and we oppose HB 2007. And I'm here to read a letter submitted by the parent of a transgender teenager. Over the past 5 years, I've been through many ups and downs as the parent of a transgender teenager. It has been hard sometimes. Were it not for the support of everyone in my child's life, including the medical team, our path would have been much more difficult. The treatments we chose were the best option for us. Politicians who are not medical professionals are not equipped to make blanket medical choices for everyone. Every person is in a different place emotionally, medically, physically. Each individual must be able to make their own decisions on their path without the involvement of those who do not have the knowledge of that individual's situation.
Thank you.
Individuals and
Ted Brightwell, followed by Elizabeth Turner.
Hello, my name is Ted Brightwell, and this was submitted by a transgendered woman, and I am very proud to read this for her. I am tired of pretending HB 2007 and its ilk is anything other than an attempt to erase trans people from existence. We have always been around and will always be around. This helps no one, this protects no one, and ultimately is going to hurt the state. You wonder why young people are leaving this state in droves. Heinous bills like this are why. History will remember your cruelty, and you will be reviled as the monsters who pushed many trans children to suicide in your holy crusade against letting people be happy. You go, girl, for that.
Elizabeth Turner, followed by Braden Roten.
Hello, I'm Elizabeth Turner, and I'm on the board of Rainbow Pride of West Virginia, and I am reading this on behalf of a West Virginia parent. I'm a parent of a non-binary child, and I have many friends who are transgender or have transgender children. I cannot even begin to explain how much this saddens my family and creates unnecessary stress that medical treatment for trans youth is once again up for debate, that their existence is up for debate. Every time it is election season or a new bill like this is introduced, I think for months, when is it going to happen in my state? Will we be able to upheave our kids from the only home they ever knew, family and friends, to protect one of our children? Is there even a safe place to call home? Blockers and hormone replacement therapy has been used for cis children who enter puberty too early or for other health issues. Why is it safe for them to receive treatment, but not safe for trans and non-binary kids? Why is it okay for cisgender children to know who they are and not be questioned, but transgender and non-binary kids are doubted?
Thank you very
I
much.
ask that you please listen to the voices that this is directly impacting.
Braden Roten. Braden Roten, followed by Jenny Salesh.
Thank you. If a child told their doctor that they feel like a one-armed kid and wanted to cut their arm off, should the doctor affirm them in that? Of course not. We don't cut off body parts just because a kid wants to. Chopping off a child's genitals is not medical care. It is mutilation and butchery. For those who have said that these surgeries are not happening in West Virginia, I have screenshots from the website of WVU Medicine Children's that prove otherwise. Doctors here today have even admitted it. And our tax dollars are going to these surgeries via WVU Medicine. And lastly, I just want to say that this, despite the crowd opposing this bill, this is a red state, and there's a big push in the conservative movement for this bill. So if you don't vote for this bill, we will vote you out. Thank you.
Thank you. Jenny Salesh, please. Please.
My name is Jenny Celine. I'm the mayor in the city of Morgantown, and we are a city that prides ourselves, pun intended, in being welcoming to all. We believe that this is the way that cities and states operate that makes our cities stronger, makes all who need health care stronger, allows people to be their best, most true selves, and helps to further our state. When we pass legislation like this, it's difficult to attract new businesses. It's hard to get people to stay here. It means that people who are considering having conferences in our state, we want to be wild and wonderful for all of our citizens, not just some. So I'm against this bill, and I think that we need to support our transgender youth and their families and provide gender-affirming care and
Thank you, Mayor.
do the right thing, please.
Robert Ofsa, followed by Leslie Nash.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Robbie Ofsa, and I'm a retired itinerant art teacher from Mercer County. To my knowledge, I taught 4 transgender youths. They're now happy and living as their true selves. That wasn't always the case. In addition, I taught several students that took their own lives as adolescents. We don't know what prompted their decisions, but we do know that suicide is irreversible. There's a rush to afford parents the right to make social choices, school choices that best suits their child. They advocate for their families. Not all children need the same things. And who knows better than the parent? Who knows better than their doctors? Let these people do what's best for their family. Don't restrict them. Civil rights for the trans community. Trans lives matter.
Leslie Nash, followed by Rusty Williams.
My name is Leslie Nash. I am a staff attorney at Mountain State Justice, and I am speaking today in opposition of House Bill 2007. This bill is likely unconstitutional and may violate both the equal protection and the due process clauses of the 14th Amendment. This is not the analysis of one lawyer or of one legal services organization in one state. On March 31st, 2002, the U.S. Department of Justice Civil Rights Division distributed a letter to all state attorneys general, including in West Virginia, that said, intentionally erecting discriminatory barriers to prevent individuals from receiving gender-affirming care implicates a number of federal legal guarantees. State laws and policies that prevent parents or guardians from following the advice of a healthcare professional regarding what may be medically necessary or otherwise appropriate care for transgender minors may infringe on rights protected by both the equal protection and due process clauses of the 14th Amendment. West Virginia is also required to comply with non-discrimination requirements under a number of federal statutes in order to receive federal funding under these statutes, including the Affordable Care Act, Title IX, the Rehabilitation Act, and the Omnibus Crime Control and Safe Streets Act.
Thank you very much.
I would also like to submit for the record.
Yes, please. If you just give it here to the clerk. Rusty Williams.
My name is Rusty Williams, and I'm going to read a statement on behalf of a former West Virginia educator. As a former middle school educator in West Virginia, I have experienced firsthand the necessity of gender-affirming care and counseling. Trans students in West Virginia struggle every day as they face discrimination from their peers, their teachers, and their families. I've seen trans students have pride pins ripped from their bags, American flags shoved in their faces, and peers bark at and harass them in the halls. Do you think this is going to stop when a law backs that misguided hate? Do you think these students will have an easier go of it if the few allies they found in teachers, friends, and counselors are no longer able to publicly support them out of fear of retaliation? No, it tells these kids that grown adults are so fearful of change to the antiquated status quo that they are willing to make their lives harder. This legislation is dangerous and has actual power to hurt kids in a very real and devastating way. I plead to those in power to think past their personal opinions and process the reality of what they are proposing. With love and hugs to all my kids. On a personal note, I just want to let the trans members of our community know that you are seen and you are loved, and the courage that you show living as your true authentic selves as these constant never-ending attacks keep coming at you from the people's house is more than all of the lawmakers pushing this cowardly legislation will ever experience combined.
Thank you
and
very
to the
much.
lawmakers that are pushing this out of a misguided interpretation of Scripture, never forgetting the story of Jesus, the hero was killed by the state.
Thank you to everybody that came and participated today and your patience. We appreciate your input and we appreciate you being here. With all of the speakers having had an opportunity to speak, I declare this public hearing adjourned. Thank you.